I want to show you one of the most bizarre stocks I've ever analyzed. Last year this company generated approximately $7 million in revenue, yet investors value it at $7.1 billion. Normally that sounds insane, but here's where things get interesting. Over 580 institutions own this stock. BlackRock owns over 25 million shares. Vanguard owns nearly 20 million shares. Some of the smartest money on Wall Street continues to buy. So what are they seeing? Today we're uncovering the bull case, the bear case, and the one question every investor must answer before buying Rigetti Computing. Because this stock could either become one of the biggest winners of the next decade, or one of the most expensive mistakes. I don't want you to remember the technology. I don't want you to remember the stock ticker. I want you to remember these two numbers: $7 billion, $7 million, because everything about this investment comes down to those numbers. The market isn't valuing Rigetti based on today's business. The market is valuing Rigetti based on what quantum computing might become by 2035, and that's where things get dangerous and exciting. What happens if AI reaches a point where today's computers are no longer powerful enough? That's where quantum enters the conversation. So top companies Google, Microsoft, Amazon, IBM, Nvidia, all investing billions, not millions. The smartest technology companies in the world believe quantum computing matters. The debate isn't whether quantum matters. The debate is who wins. Here's the uncomfortable truth: Rigetti isn't competing against startups. It's competing against trillion-dollar companies. Google, Microsoft, Amazon, IBM. Imagine entering a Formula One race against teams with unlimited budgets. That's the challenge. This is why Rigetti is either massively undervalued or massively overvalued. There's very little middle ground. 55.79% institutional ownership. 582 institutions. BlackRock 25.44 million shares. Vanguard 19.47 million shares. State Street, Shaw, Geode. Do these institutions know something retail investors don't, or are they simply making a high-risk bet? Quantum computing eventually becomes a multi-hundred billion-dollar industry. Rigetti survives. Rigetti scales. Rigetti wins contracts. Rigetti becomes one of a handful of dominant players. If that happens, today's valuation may eventually look cheap. That's the dream. That's why people buy the stock. Now let's talk reality. Revenue $7 million, losses $216 million. No meaningful profitability. Extreme volatility, beta 3.91. Investors are assuming success before success exists. And history is full of companies that looked revolutionary but never became profitable businesses. This is the risk. Current price approximately $21. Average analyst target $31. Average upside 45%. Bull target $40. Potential upside 87%. Wall Street is still optimistic. But remember, analysts don't determine returns, execution does. Don't ask, will quantum computing change the world, because it probably will. Ask, will Rigetti be one of the winners? That's the billion-dollar question. Because if quantum succeeds but Rigetti loses, shareholders lose too. 20 years ago, investors argued about the internet. 15 years ago, they argued about cloud computing. 10 years ago, they argued about electric vehicles. 5 years ago, they argued about artificial intelligence. Today, they're arguing about quantum computing. The truth is simple. Nobody knows whether Rigetti becomes the next great technology company. But we do know this: the companies shaping the future are often controversial long before they're successful. Rigetti sits at the center of one of the most important technology races on the planet. That doesn't make it safe. It doesn't make it cheap. It doesn't make it a buy, but it absolutely makes it worth watching. And that's why Rigetti may be one of the most fascinating stocks in today's market. Can Rigetti become a $50 billion company by 2035? Yes or no? Comment below. Subscribe to Stock Market Analyst and I'll see you in the next video.